Good evening, Silver Lining Gang. It's Andy here once more. Third episode today, and we are finishing with a bit of a bang. We have ourselves a wonderful human being, a fantastic individual, acting as an advocate in the real estate space. But aside from anything else, a very, I'd say, level-headed individual, a very, very level-headed individual with a really good heart. Cynthia, is it Peretz? Is that how I say it right?
Correct. Yeah, Peretz.
Yeah, nice. Cynthia Peretz, how are you?
Right, Andy. Thanks for having me on your show.
No, look, thanks for coming on board. Now, for those of you that aren't aware, Silver Lining is all about helping people push through and gain from this stuff that is going on all around us. With late night TSL, generally speaking, there's a couple of people that have had wines or beers or things of that nature in hand. So feel free to crack open a bottle, Cynthia, if you feel that way inclined. This is what late night TSL is all about. It's just a bit of a wind down and a bit of a taking stock of what's going on. Although you don't get fooled by the bright sunshine and the light that's coming off here, rest assured, this is an evening show. So Cynthia, how are you, and how's the world treating you at the minute?
Well, I'm actually quite enjoying this downtime from a business point of view, because it's allowing me to spend time on my business and without a guilty conscience that I am letting clients down. It's just giving me those extra hours to do my social media, work on my website, and just do that homework that we always say at Christmas time. When it gets quiet, I'm going to do this, this, and this, and you land up spending the time with the family. This is everything all in one. You've got the family, you've got the business, you've got everything all under one roof. So from a mental point of view, it's pretty cool. I'm enjoying this downtime. Yeah.
So cash flow drops. You had contingencies for that and what have you?
Yeah, I suppose, yes. Well, in property, and because I work with my clients on payment when they settle, I've just been really lucky from that snowball effect of, clients from maybe January, February are settling now, March, April, May. So I have been really lucky from that. But the question is what's going to happen to the next, 90 days. That will be a question, but I'm not letting that negativity worry me now. There's a lot less expenses happening because the car's not getting driven. So, minimal on petrol and things like that. So there's ways that I can, save without having a hard laugh, still can have a drink and, enjoy things and, take up having Zoom chats with friends, and on a Friday night still have a Zoom catch up and have a glass of wine, just really putting myself in that positive space. It can all be done. It's just being done from a different place. I'm in my lounge room and they in their lounge room, like you in yours and I'm in mine. So there's a lot of positive to come out of this bad time. Well, I think so.
No, look, yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, before we get into any real detail with the sort of specifics as to how you're utilizing your time right now, give us a bit of an MO. We always do a human first, professional second bit. So you tell us who Cynthia is, because you've got a bit of an accent. So I'm sure there'll be a small degree of intrigue as to where you're from originally and your background and whatnot. So give us the MO on Cynthia, the human being.
Okay, cool. So I was originally in Bulawayo in Zimbabwe, and I went to boarding school in South Africa, studied in South Africa, went to live in Israel for 10 years, married an Israeli, and we came to live in Australia 18 years ago. So I've done like a little bit of a round circle of the world.
So you came over 18 years ago with your husband?
Yes.
Yeah, cool.
We came family, and landed up getting into property because I needed to find a job, and I was employed by the Brady Group, who are builders in Melbourne CBD, and been in property, love it ever since. Probably within 6 months that I came to Melbourne.
Very good. So, how was life growing up in South Africa? Because it was a very different world then.
Oh no. Life was good. Life was
Yeah.
good. You know, you had all the help. You know, anything that money could buy, you had it.
Right. Okay.
But Australia has got a good life too. You know, people, because it's a big country, we're very lucky to be able to, a lot of us, to have homes, to have gardens, parklands. You know, we are very lucky that we've got beautiful beaches, you know, lovely mountains. We've got a lot of space, and it reminds me a lot of South Africa, just on that space and people living in homes, and the whole lifestyle, enjoying food. Yeah.
And why did you guys as a family decide to move over? Was it just a new challenge, or did you have reasons to come over, or?
Just the political situation that was happening in Israel at the time with the suicide bombings got a bit out of control, and we had been here on a holiday, and I had family here, so we had already decided that this is where we wanted to continue our journey. So we put in our papers. Our papers took us about 18 months, so it wasn't a quick turnaround. Yes, and we've been happy. We've been happy ever since we got here. Everything's just worked out for us the way that we wanted it to.
Kids?
No, we left that for everybody else.
Fair enough. Best kids are someone else. It's like boats. They're great because you can give them back, right? So they're always the best ones, the ones you can give back at the end of the day. So give us, so in terms of your own personal psyche and mentality, I mean, you've got a very, very, like I said, a very level-headed outlook with respect to a lot of things. I mean, we've known each other for a little bit now, and my impression of that is of you is someone that knows that there's way worse things that could happen. Where do you think you've gained that from? I mean, have you always been that type of person? Was it how you were brought up, or have there been certain things that have gone on in your journey that have got you to this point of equilibrium, shall we say, from a mindset point of view?
Oh no, I think it's everything. I mean, I'm a boarding school child, and I think moving from different countries. Every country's got its own highs and lows, you know, culture changes. So you just have to make it work. And I think in my personality, because I'm really not going to let anything stop me. I think every new country becomes a challenge. Every job becomes a challenge. When I started off my own business, which is just on a year ago, it's something now that I realized I should have done years ago, because I'm just loving jumping every hurdle. You know, I think that challenge is what drives me. And when I see people that I can help, or other people, or friends, or people that I get to know that I can help in their business journey, just gives me so much self-satisfaction. So I think it's me, but I've just been helped along the way with circumstances.
Yeah, nice. What wobbles you then? Because you know, I know a lot of. I know quite a few people that are from South Africa, like especially back when I was working in London. You know, met and worked with a few South Africans, and they were always very stoic characters, very, very tough, sort of rhino-esque exteriors. What wobbles you?
I would say I'm very family orientated. So one of my so one of the things is if something ever had to happen to family or friends, that really unsettles me. So whether it's health or whatever it is, I have a very, very soft spot, and it definitely sends me on a mind swing on, trying to get it together, because I've always been that person that tries to help and solve a problem. And when it comes to illness, I can't solve them. I'm not a doctor, and I'm not a miracle worker. And when it's out of my control, those kind of things, don't do it for me.
And how do you sort of manage your way through those situations? Because there'll be people now, there'll be friends and family of yours now that are hitting the fan in a big way, right? So, obviously, you will be able to help to a certain degree with the business side, but there'll be some people that will be struggling to cope mentally with all this. So how do you, within yourself, when you go through one of those patches or go through one of those scenarios that does rock you, how do you get back to that sort of level of equilibrium?
I find things that I enjoy. I'm very big on exercise. I find that it's very good to clear my mind. I used to be a very big runner, and every time I used to have a bad day, the first thing I used to do is come back, put my runners on, and go out onto the road. Even now, I walk, never wear earphones, listen to music. I prefer to see what's out there. So I think that that's my safety net that pulls me back, is exercise.
Right. Okay. And so you use exercise as an outlet, and then coming back to the business thing, you mentioned that you thrive on the challenges, you thrive on overcoming those hurdles and what have you. How do you, and your love for helping others, how do you go about trying to impart some of that desire onto other people? Because you've got quite a my first impression of you is, spade a spade is that's really sort of underselling how you rock and roll. And I'm saying that in a very, very nice way. But how do you manage to balance that sort of rhino exterior that you bring to your business world, and then allow that sort of caring, nurturing side to work together so that you can help people? Because a lot of people that have and this is why I'm quite looking forward to having you coming on, because you've got this, you seem to have this balance of no wonder people look to you to get deals done, because if I was an agent and I was going up against you, I'd be a little bit nervous, I'm not going to lie, but you definitely have this caring side to you that you've got a balance of, which I'm not sure many people manage to strike. So how do you feel? How do you try and get that across without sort of giving up your rhino sort of African sort of heritage?
My clients know that I do what I say. So what I promise, I fulfill. And I suppose I don't change. So I get out of bed on the right side every day. I think my clients and the people that I work with know that if there's a certain way that I work and there's a certain way that I think, I don't change it. So they'll always know what to expect from me. And they don't, like when I worked and I had 55 staff under me, they never had to worry about, is she going to come to work in a good mood or in a bad mood? Because there was only ever one way. I was at work for them as their boss, so it was all about making sure that the staff got what they needed. So I'm a very honest person. I say it like it is, but I'm there to support them 100%. And I will turn over backwards to make sure that it works out for them. Because what is successful for my staff is what's successful for me.
I love that, because in effect, what you've done with your approach, what happens then is an absolute simplicity to how you go about your business and your life, right? Because you've never had to hide who you are or you've never had to alter how you go about things, it makes it very, very easy for you to broadcast how you feel, but also it makes it easier. I mean, look, initially people might be a little bit, whoa, Cynthia's like, it's Cynthia, but the fact that you are consistent with that means that it becomes a lot easier, a lot quicker to be able to connect to you, because that's how you are all the time, and that I think is amazing. And that's probably a point that hasn't been brought up to this point, that up to this stage, is that if you can understand who you are as an individual, and let's face it, one of my big questions that has been coming up for me has been, because I've been doing a lot of work on my purpose over the course of the last 12, 15 months. And when I think I've got it nailed, this has happened, and other stuff's been going on that's sort of made me go, hold on, have I got that right or not? Because obviously, if you've got an alignment with your purpose, then it's very, very easy to be who you are if you've got that absolute alignment. And I think that's exactly what you've got, which is why I do have a lot of respect for you in a very short space of time, because you are you at every moment of the day, and that makes it a lot easier for people to consume who you are, which I think is fab. Now, how do you deal with so say for example, if we are so you're going in for a deal for a client, you're going in to represent a client, okay, and you are trying to collaborate with an agent. Agents not looking to, agent obviously is working for their vendor, you're working for the buyer, but you know that you need to have both sides of the equation to make it work. Have you ever had, and I'm going to say this because you're being a female as well, because of your approach, have you ever found it a little bit harder to get that initial connection, purely because of the fact that people won't expect you, because that's the general thing, right? People don't expect people to be as upfront and as honest and as transparent as you are right from the get-go. Do you ever find that you sometimes get a little bit of a negative reaction initially before things come together?
From an agent? Yeah,
for example.
Not because I'm a woman.
Good.
I think real estate agents are working on behalf of the so they are who they are. But what I think is that over time of working with different agents, you get to know their personalities. It's the same way I have a good reputation of, when I come and see a home, the agents know that my clients are financed. I don't waste my time. I don't waste their time. So I've managed to get my reputation out there that when I ask for something and I want something, it's not because I have a wish list. It's because I know exactly what my clients can afford. And I know exactly what the are of their deal. So I do believe, and I hope that everybody else thinks this too, that over the time they know me because that's the way that I work, and that's how I respect my clients and the real estate agents or the builders that I'm working with. So no, I don't find it because I'm a woman. Certain agents, everybody's got their own personality. Maybe if you asked me 17 years ago, I would have definitely said this, what I call the boys club. In a property, definitely, especially in investment property, but I don't find that anymore. I mean, you've got your female auctioneers now and things like that. So no, women definitely are being taken seriously. So yeah, no, not in the last few years, I wouldn't say.
Because and I'm really glad that you've said that, because I think there's a certain degree when it comes to that side of things, and the reason why I wanted to have this conversation with you specifically is because you are very unapologetic in who you are and how you go about things, and you're very direct, like incredibly direct. And I think one thing that I perhaps would say is that although there is still something of an imbalance between, men and women with certain aspects of things and what have you, I definitely feel that there's perhaps not as much of an imbalance now as what some females tend to sort of sometimes put out there. And my concern with that side of going through adversity is at one stage or another, you need to stop using it as an excuse as well. I think there is a degree of that in certain elements of what goes on, especially in real estate, because, I'm working hard to get more female auctioneers out there. And because, I just think that they just bring a completely different dimension to the craft and what have you. And I think it's going to be, the ones that I'm working with at the minute, I know they're going to be amazing. But I think people are very quick to use like this sort of gender equality, corona, whatever is the popular thing at the time as a reason to not take action.
Definitely. I mean, I'm not perfect. I'm far from perfect. I just do things that I feel most comfortable.
I don't know, Cynthia. You're not that far off. You're not that far off.
But I do things what I'm comfortable in because I'm the one that has to sleep well at night. And I'm just finding a lot of people have been asking me, how are you going? How are you doing during this time? And I have to tell you that I feel that if you have ever emigrated into a different culture, that is a lot harder than the coronavirus now, because we know it's going to end in a few months' time. When you emigrate into a place and you've got no friends, you've got no job, you've got no roof over your head, I've got nothing. Here we can sit and say, we've got our friends. Some of us have got family. Like we've built some roots. So we have a support system of something. I mean, not everybody's finds the positive in it, but we do have roots. So maybe I find, and maybe people don't like it, that when I compare this to emigrating, it's nothing, because I can see that it's going to pass quickly. When you emigrate into a country, you don't know how many months it's going to take you to find a job, find a friend. If you've got kids, find a school. There's so many questions, and you don't have the answers for them. So
and it's a great parallel to what's going on right now, of course, because we're still sort of kind of half wondering how this is going to roll out over the course of the next few weeks. Business plans have gone completely out the window, and it's a bloody good parallel actually, because I can talk about this as well. We're on common ground here. When you do move over to a new country and it's all very new and different, and there's lots of uncertainty in your own mind, and have I made the right call? Blah 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 blah, all that sort of stuff. I think the simple truth is, as long as you keep moving forward with the whole process of immigrating or whatever the case may be, you will eventually, like you said, you will grow roots. And one thing I will say about that is roots take a little bit of time to bed in. They do take a little bit of time to bed in. So I think your experience with emigrating, it's absolutely spot on in terms of a parallel with what's going on right now. Tell me, Cynthia, look, based on your experiences and obviously what happened to you once you did immigrate, uncertainty, roots come in, and then you thrive and rock and roll for the rest of your journey up to now. How do you see it playing out with all of this then? Because look, you will have had conversations where people are not, you're saying white and they'll be saying black right now.
Yeah.
How do you think it's going to play out?
I think from a property point of view, it's going to take a few months past for things to come back to normal, because the banks are going to take a lot longer to start mortgages and get people back on their feet. And some companies have fired people, some companies have just let people go home, and it's not going to happen overnight for them to get back on their feet for it to happen. Hence, where people are going to find the money to buy again. But I'm working on future planning, so people don't have to start in 3 months' time. They can already start their plans now, so they're ready to move with their property future. So whether it's that they wanted to sell the home, buy a home, add to their investment portfolio, this is a time that people need to be researching and doing their homework, even if they're selling their home. Start painting your house now. Start decluttering now so you can go on the market when things turn around. Like, people are so scared and they're putting everything off. But off until when? It's when somebody said, well, where are you going to buy? And my husband said, well, and I said, well, near. And he said, again, near or far from where? Meaning, like, where were we going? Where was I going to find a job? Was it in the city? Was it in the suburbs? So I think that's where I think that the question is, on when people are stopping doing things because they're scared, but it's going to pick up. So what can we do now to prepare ourselves for the future?
Wonderful. That's a bloody good answer. That's a bloody good answer, actually. And from I mean, look, and let's segue into the reason, or the arena that we met, because obviously we're part of a networking fraternity organization, and you know, you value you value networking so much. Taking yourself out of real estate, just talking general small business land, how much damage do you think, I mean, or how many small businesses do you feel or do you fear will not make it through this? I mean, you've got a pretty good handle. You speak to a lot of small businesses in different sectors. Based on your view, where do you see that landscape sort of ending up?
Okay, there's a lot of small businesses that are not going to recoup, definitely, no doubt about it. But I think that this is when when you belong to some kind of a networking group and you get that support system. There's some people, like, let's say if they were hands-on, whether they were physios, chiropractors, you know, little businesses like that. They could have had 4 or 5 staff, so they're not that small, but they hands-on businesses, and literally they cannot do anything right now. I think by just having positive people around them to keep their spirits up, they'll get back into business, because you hope that you've kept them on the right frame, in the right frame of mind, and not let them sink into a hole. Like travel agents. I mean, travel agents, all they're doing now is canceling people's trips. I mean, talk about something negative happening to you every single day. But if they can, again, I was talking to a really good travel agent the other day, and it's like, well, if you can already start getting people into the mind of where would their next trip be, and looking at the positive, and again, future planning, enticing them on making a plan for the next, let's say, 4 months, 5 months, that keeps you in a good frame of mind to get your business up and running. So a lot of businesses won't, and maybe some of them might, you know, their staff might go somewhere else. But I think that if they can be surrounded by positive energy, you hope that they will be able to pick it up when it all comes back.
And that's it. And that's I think that's one of the key reasons why networking works so well is, you know, when you're within your own mind, when you've got, when you're anxious, stressed, all the rest of it, that's when your mind really struggles to get through the treacle of the scenario, the sticky scenario. And that's exactly where networking can be so beneficial, because you can just verbal diarrhea whatever your worries are and concerns and whatnot within a network, and have many sets of eyes and many brains help you essentially to, you know, have a bit more clarity about your situation and your scenario. One key theme, I'm going to do like a summary video after this in terms of what the key themes have been over the first 2 weeks of Silver Lining. One of the biggest ones is the vocalization of your concerns to people that are within within set networks that you feel can give you some sort of value to help you get more clarity, and that's where. And I think moving forward, I think one big lesson that I'm hoping everybody will understand, especially in business land, but generally speaking anyway, is that we need to put more importance on the value of our networks. I mean, Seven Habits of Highly Effective People, Stephen R. Covey, he says, you know, interdependence is the key to the whole game in terms of reaching your true potential. And you can only achieve that through having a golden network that you can rely upon, and that it can rely upon you when the time comes. Did you always did you always know this to be the case? How did you find this out yourself? Was there a moment where you were just starting in business land in Australia, and you started building a network through that? Was it your natural personality? Where did this come from for you?
Okay, so when I opened up my own business, Metrolinx, I found that even though I had a good group of builders and people that I'd been working with over the years, you now need to find clients, and cold calling is really hard. So I knew myself that I needed to find a networking group to for two reasons: A, to get leads, but B, to surround myself with people that, if everyone comes out of a small business and their own business, we're all making similar mistakes. And instead of me thinking that I'm doing everything wrong, when you get into a group of people and you hear that somewhere along the line, whether they've had the business for a year or for 10 years, that they're also not perfect and they make mistakes, just makes you feel more settled. So I joined a networking group for the two reasons: A, to find people that I could market with to get leads, but also to be able to bounce things off. So even though our industries might not have been the same, our problems are still very similar. So I wanted to be around people that I could share, first of all, that wouldn't judge me, okay? But if they were the right people, they would help me, and I could help them and they would help me, because it's something that is just taken for granted, that you see one another every week and you might talk to one another twice a week. And you've just got this support system of people that are going through the same thing you are, that it's not only you and it's not just about you. It's life and it happens to everybody.
100%. And I think empathy is a crucial factor for networking. You know, and I think it's quite an obvious sort of internal reaction if you find that you've tried to go into networking groups and you felt very, very awkward or very out of place, then it's the most obvious reaction that says to you that you probably shouldn't be in this networking group. I think there is. I've found it in the group that we've been working in and whatnot, that you will find that if it is the right sort of fit for you from a networking group point of view, it kind of feels right pretty quickly, and it will be based on everyone's aura. You know, how much empathy they have within their aura, and how their sort of DNA gets them to react to things, and so on and so forth. You'll find commonalities that you will resonate with, and I think what you said before about, you know, the fact that there is a lack of fear around judgment with what it is that you are doing, I think is wonderful. And then conversely, if you do find yourself in a really good networking group like that, and they do start judging you, then maybe you got to think, well, shit, have I sort of gone off course here with what my purpose is and what my business is designed to do? Have I really sort of thrown the cat amongst the pigeons here and maybe stuffed myself up? And it's a really good way of gauging market reaction from people that are in networking groups, whether it's business or otherwise, because they're all humans as well. So they'll have a natural consumer reaction, but then the business mind perks up. And it's not just about learning things that make you get better. It's trying to avoid some of the mistakes that other people will have made across the journey. And it's the sharing of those mistakes to help everyone move forward a lot quicker, right?
Yeah, the thing is, you have to be with these people to hear it. And you have to be with these people to know that if you made that mistake and they have, it can be fixed. You know,
100%.
I find I can judge myself very harshly sometimes. and for no reason. It's just that we want things to be perfect and we want our businesses to succeed, and sometimes we need that person or those other people there to either say, well done, change this, change that, because again, they're not criticizing you. They're there to help you and your business succeed. And it does take us a little bit of time to realize that. Well, I know that it took me time to realize that, to also learn how to trust them, that the advice that they are giving you or the recommendations, it's honest.
Absolutely.
So yeah, no,
Absolutely.
I believe in the group. So yeah, I'm a very firm believer in networking.
Awesome. Look, I'm conscious that it's getting towards the hour of 10 p.m. over there. I mean, I've got no idea what time it is, to be perfectly frank. But before I let you go, Cynthia, if there was a couple of things, because I'm trying to help people to tap into people like mentalities like yours, for people that are sort of on the canvas, you know, really sort of down on their luck, struggling with things that are going on and struggling to see a way forward, what could be a couple of little things that you could recommend that may help these people to get up off the mat and start swinging again?
Okay. I was listening to somebody talk the other day, and they said, even though we're working from home, leave your house and walk back in the front door as if you're going back into an office.
Interesting.
Don't go into the kitchen for your lunch. Make your lunch and your snacks and take it to your office. Try and make your way as if you were working. And if you can take that break at lunchtime, go for a walk for half an hour as if you would normally take your lunch break. And if you used to finish work at 5 o'clock, close your computer at 5 o'clock and go and spend time with your family. That's one thing, stops the days rolling into one another. Okay, she says, which I don't do, but it's a very good way. And I think the other thing is, go for your walk. Keep your social distancing. Don't put your music on. Listen to the birds, listen to the people. Just see that there's life out there. And the kids are smiling, and the animals are running, and somebody's got a smile on their face, smile back. It's all a mental thing. I mean, it's easy to say, but trust me, I have to deal with it every day. And you just have to stay very strong and firm to how you feel. So that's what I would try and recommend to people is, do your exercise, get out there, don't listen to your music, and just see the world.
I love the awareness piece around that. Lots of people have said or say, make sure you get exercise and all that sort of stuff, which is very relevant, very true. But what you're saying there about make sure that you are present when you are doing some exercise. Make sure you are aware, very aware of your surroundings. Open your mind up, because when generally beforehand, when people have gone for a run, it's very tunnel vision. Going for a run, that's it, and that's all they're doing. But I think if you can, that's such a good point. If you can just prime your mind, maybe if you go, next time you go out for a walk or a jog or whatever, maybe just try and focus on doing one thing, which would be try and spot something that you've never seen before. Yeah. Or something along those lines. Or if you're more of an auditory learner, like Cynthia just said, maybe don't put your sound on, maybe don't put your headphones in, and try and hear a sound that you can't quite recognize what it is. And just giving yourself, priming your mind with that before you go out there will just open everything, all of your senses up to having a look and seeing exactly what is going on around you. Because when you're in isolation, when you are forced into this bubble, like what you said before we came on air, when you're forced into this bubble, it's very easy for that bubble to become toxic if you're not careful. So opening your mind up to everything that is around you, being present, and just looking for something or listening out for something that you haven't heard before, that you don't recognize, that gets your brain going, ooh, what's that? Is a very, very good way of making yourself staying present and being in the moment, so that when you do go back to your desk, you can absolutely stay on what it is that you're trying to achieve that allows you to keep moving forward. That is such a good point, Cynthia. Such a good point.
And then take a different route. Like change the streets that you walk, and you suddenly see different houses, different things, different gardens. I mean, I've got a coffee shop that I go to. It's a good, I don't know, 25 minutes from me, and I've always gone there. And the girl, I phoned in my order first, and she's now started calling me things. So the one day it will be sassy. Yesterday it was sexy soy, because I always have soy milk. And she always knows I'm going to walk out there laughing. And you know what? Those little things, it just makes me want to go back. Tomorrow, what's she going to call me?
How good is that?
There's so many things that people can do, with her to keep her clients, but it just makes me smile. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. It's not perfect, and it's not, it doesn't cost anything, and it's just wonderful. It's just her way of appreciating me and my way of coming back and smiling.
That is such a good way to value your client base. That is such a good way to do it. And it's simple. It's 2 seconds, and Robert's your father. Oh, that is so good. That is. Have a think about that, guys. If you are running your own business, take that example that Cynthia said, where the barista is just writing a new name on it for Cynthia every day, and it just makes Cynthia, it spikes her intrigue to see what she's going to be called the next day. Take that little example and see how you could potentially implement it into your business or your life. Whether it's, if you have got a partner that's an essential worker that's coming home from work every day still and what have you, see how you can make it a little bit different for when they get back in the door. And so, just to give them a little bit of I wonder what's going to happen today, or I wonder what's going to happen when I open the door, this time. Just that is absolutely fabulous, Cynthia. Honestly, that is such a good little story to end this show on. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate that it's late, and you've got a really early start in the morning. For me, it's just gonna be like real casual 8 o'clock at night stuff. So I'll be happy as Larry. But Cynthia, thank you so much. I'm so grateful that you've come on the show and shared some of that. And that that last little story is absolutely perfect and spot on for what this show is all about. I will see you in the morning.
Thanks for having me. I enjoyed being with you.
Thank you so much. And guys, thanks for showing up, for coming on to the Silver Lining. If you didn't catch the episodes that we've had earlier on today, Rick Rushton, Imi Callister, 2 very, very brilliant characters. And then we've just topped it off with a nice little cherry of a story from Cynthia. Absolutely wonderful day. You guys have yourselves a safe night. If you're in Australia, enjoy the rest of your day if you're in the UK. And we will see you on the other side. Guys, you take care. Cynthia, I will see you in a while.
Thanks. Cheers. Bye.
Bye.